everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about books, reading, and reading challenges. So if you think that you will be interested, grab your drinks and stay tuned. So I believe that this is going to be the second reading challenges update video on my channel. So if you didn't see last month's video and you're new to this, or if you did see last month's and you just need a quick reminder, this video is basically about the 3 different reading challenges that I am doing this year. And the reason that I'm even doing reading challenges at all, especially 3 different kinds, is because for my New Year's resolution, I had put that I wanted to read more. But I knew that just putting read more was not really going to motivate me or keep me accountable. So I chose to do reading challenges to kind of guide me and again keep me accountable. And the reason that I have decided to do update videos here on my channel is because again, it's one of my New Year's resolution goals for the year. So I thought it would be kind of nice to keep everyone updated and also keep me accountable for my goals throughout the year. Also because I actually think that videos about reading challenges and like book reviews are super interesting, and I just didn't know if that was something that people here on my channel would like to see as well. So that's why I am doing this. So now that you know why I'm doing this, 3 different kinds are the Moon Challenge, M. Judson's Challenge, and the Unread Shelf Challenge. All 3 of these challenges I found on Instagram, and I will go ahead and link the Instagram accounts down in the description box below. I'll also include all of the challenges underneath the links down below in the description box as well. So the Unread Shelf and M. Judson's Challenge are each a monthly challenge, so there's one category assigned for each month, which is exactly how I wanted it. But the Moon Challenge is not like that. It's not a monthly challenge. It just has a list of categories for books that you can choose from throughout the year. Lately, I have been choosing only one category each month for the Moon Challenge, but I think I'm going to up that to 2 categories slash challenges a month from the Moon, because there's just so many categories that if I only continue with one, it's not going to get done by the end of the year. So now we'll move on to one specific challenge, the Unread Shelf Challenge. And that challenge for the month of April was to read the book that I most recently acquired. And that book turned out to be Chelsea Handler's You Gotta Be Kidding Me. I actually got this book, I would say like late March. I went up to the reservation with my mom, and every time we go up to the reservation we stop in Flagstaff. Occasionally my mom to go to Goodwill like most moms do. This time I went inside with her and I was checking out the books, and I was actually looking for a different Chelsea Handler's book, but I just saw her name and it was like $2, so I ended up getting it. If you don't know who Chelsea Handler is, she is of course famous. She, I think, is most famous for her show that she has. She is known to be very outspoken, very blunt, and she's the kind of person where you just like always know that she's there. Like her presence is always known, and you can definitely see that in her book. Most of the book takes place in an African safari, and then the last quarter of the book ventures off to all of the shenanigans that happens at her home here in the United States. For me, my favorite part was that even though she's a very famous, very rich person, she still has what I would put as normal people experiences. Even though she does highlight, you know, the benefits of having money, of being rich, she also shows that she experiences a lot of the same downs in life, and again, just like normal people experiences. I also like, again, that she's very outspoken, but she also shares some things that people usually only think to themselves. They never really say that kind of stuff out loud, and it was just really funny and relatable reading her stories and her thoughts as she's going through this African safari. So I think that if you'd like to hear like a funny version of how someone's vacation goes, I think that this would be a good book for you to read, because I guess the gist of it really is just her sharing what her vacation was like. And after finishing this book, I'm even more excited to read her other books that she has, because I'm sure that they're just as witty and honest as this book was. Now the second challenge of April was M. Judson's Challenge, and that challenge was to read a collection of poetry. Now I had collections of poetries, but I had read them all, at least that I owned. So I actually ended up purchasing a poetry book. This book was on my thrift Books wish list. If you don't know what thrift books is, I'm about to hook you up. Thrift books is basically like a thrift store for used and new books. I've even bought textbooks for college on thrift books. Really cool website, and I have like 50 or so books on my thrift books wish list, and this poetry book was on my list. So I ended up getting Songs with Our Eyes Closed by Tyler Kent White. And something really cool that I didn't know before I purchased the book was that the author Tyler Kent White is actually from Chandler, Arizona, which is exactly where I live, which I just thought was really cool. Let me just start off by saying I was not expecting this book to go as hard as it did. I loved literally every single poem that was in this book. I'm just gonna read one of my favorites. When I read books and there's like a quote or something happens that I really enjoy, I either highlight them in the book or I put sticky notes in them. But anyways, so I'm gonna read this short one right here. Never apologize for burning too brightly or for collapsing into yourself every night. That is how galaxies are made. It's just amazing in general how poetry is, you know? That did not sound poetic at all. I'm not a poet. But such a simple but not really simple concept. The way that these people can write about them and really just say a simple concept but not in a simple way, I think is really cool. Because you know, the simple concept is like, nobody's perfect. You have moments where you're up, you have moments where you're down. That's okay. It doesn't make anyone less perfect. But the way that I said it, that's not going to be in a book. The way that Tyler wrote it, now that's why there's a book. But anyways, like I said, every poem in the book was just as profound as I think that was. You definitely might not think the same, but I just know that I couldn't have written that. His stories are kind of broken into sections. So, you know, some are like addressing different people. So like some are for like when you're addressing yourself, you're talking to yourself. Some are for like addressing like an ex or, you know, that situation. Some are for addressing like family relationships. It kind of touches all different areas, but each of them turn out really good. And I will definitely be rereading this book, not soon, but at some point, because, you know, I gotta get through the rest of my books on my TBR list. Anyways, the last challenge is going to be from the Moon Challenge. The challenge for April was to read a book about self-improvement. So I have read Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk. So I actually got this book from a self-love challenge that I entered in like a couple months ago. I never finished it, I never completed it. Basically explains my level of self-love right there. I had this book and I had started it before and I thought it was pretty good. But the one thing that kind of turned me off, and which usually does kind of turn me off, is it's a Christian book. And even though God is like not written about on every single page, it has a huge presence in the book. And honestly, this kind of sounds bad, but I kind of just skipped over the sections where it talked about God. It wasn't like huge sections that I had to skip because again, it wasn't like in every single page. But I did skip the parts where it talked a lot about God, and that's just my personal beliefs. So even though I didn't read some parts of the book, I was still able to read a lot of it and still keep it for myself, if that makes sense. It talks a lot about communication and relationships. It talks about understanding them, analyzing them, and how to better improve them. I think it also has a worksheet like along with it, but I don't have that. Nevertheless, it was still really good. I actually, when reading this book, took notes and used them in my own life. I actually used what I learned from this book on a relationship of mine. I'm not going to mention with who or what the relationship was that I used it for, but I do think that it improves our relationship, even just a little bit. It talked about the 5 love languages briefly, but that was the part that I had used. There were a lot of new concepts to me in my life that I had never heard of or really even considered before, or some where I had thought about it before, but I could never could connect those thoughts with like actual terms or, you know, like basically how to improve on whatever it was. And this book really helped me. I would definitely recommend this book to other people who just want to learn more about their relationships and how to improve them through communication, which is literally the biggest part of a relationship. I think so. It's also really good for reflecting. It helped me to look at myself and how, because of who I am, my role in every single relationship that I have, how bettering myself, better the relationships that you are involved in, it improves them a lot. And overall, it was just a really, really good book to choose for self-improvement. And like I said before, I definitely recommend it to really anyone. I think it's going to be even better if you believe in God or you're Christian. I think it'll be even better for you. So those were the 3 books that I read for the month of April for my 3 different reading challenges. Obviously, I was successful with all of my reading challenges last month. I'm going to include each reading challenge list where I mark off each month or each section where I read a book. I'll include those right now. And then I will also show you how I improved my reading challenge section in my Bujo or bullet journal so that it looks nicer, cleaner, and is just more effective on how I track it. So let's move to that right now. So as you can see, this is for the month of April. And we have here the reading challenges. So I've broken it into 3 sections. Each section is a different challenge. So we have The Moon, M. Judson, and The Unread Shelf. Then in subcategories, I have what the challenge is for the month, the book that I'm going to read to fulfill the challenge, and then completed, if it was or not, and if it was, what date it was completed. So as you can see here, a book about self-improvement was a challenge. The book I read was Keep Your Love On, completed, yes, and I finished the book on April 9th. My only complaint about the way that it's set up is that it's really squished together. But other than that, I like the way that it's organized because it's clear to understand and it looks a lot better than it did last month. If you've made it through the entire video, or at least at this point, thank you so much for staying. I hope you enjoyed it. Even if you don't read too much, I hope you still enjoyed me talking about me reading and the books that I've been reading. You have been reading yourself. I would love to know what books you're reading, what reading challenges you're doing, if you're doing any, if you've been doing a lot more reading since stay-at-home orders have been in effect. You also use the Thrift Books website. If you also have a large TBR list to go through, if you're buying lots of books, just anything related to books, or really even just anything in general, I would love to know. So please leave a comment down below, like this video, all for this video. So again, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be posting May's update next month in June, so keep an eye out for that. I'll have more budget videos coming as well, and I will see you in the next video.